ER to the positive, and the superlative is usually formed by adding EST to the positive. Example, we can say high. When the word is high, you add ER, higher, and it becomes the comparative degree. And when you add EST, highest, it becomes the superlative degree. So positive, comparative, superlative. Small, smaller, smallest. To make it the word small, the positive into comparative, you add ER. And in the superlative, you use EST. So it becomes smallest. Then tall, you add ER in the comparative, becomes taller. And EST in the superlative, it becomes tallest. Then short, when you add ER in the comparative, ER, it becomes the comparative degree shorter. When you add EST, it becomes the superlative degree shortest. Bold, when you add ER to this, it becomes the comparative degree bolder. And when you add EST, it becomes the superlative degree, that is boldest. Young, when you add ER, it becomes younger and it becomes comparative degree. And in the superlative, it becomes youngest, adding EST. Examine how the degrees of comparison of the following adjectives are formed. Positive, comparative, and superlative. So, to the positive, when you add ER, it becomes comparative. When you add EST, it becomes superlative. So, these are called regular comparisons. Noble, nobler, noblest. Fine, finer, finest. Brave, braver, bravest. Large, larger, largest. In all these words, in the positive degree, when you add ER to that word, it becomes comparative. When you add EST, it becomes the superlative degree. Here, positive, comparative, superlative. But the words which are in positive, they end in Y. When the words end in Y, in the comparative, you add IER. Y is changed into I, and as usual, you are adding ER. And in the superlative, you add EST. So, heavy, heavier, heaviest. Pretty, again it ends in Y, so you are using IER in the comparative, IEST in the superlative. Happy, it ends in Y, so IER in the comparative, IEST is the superlative. Merry, it ends in Y, so merrier, IER, it becomes comparative, IEST superlative. So when the positive word, it is a simple word and ER is added to the comparative and EST to the superlative. But when the positive word ends in Y, the Y is changed into I, and so in the comparative it becomes IER, in the superlative it becomes IEST. So we have seen the examples here. Positive, comparative, and superlative. See these words: fat, fatter, fattest. So with the word positive fat, you add ER, it becomes comparative, EST becomes superlative. So big, bigger, biggest. When you add with the word big ER, it becomes the comparative degree, and when you add EST, it becomes a superlative degree. The word sad, when you add DER, it becomes the comparative degree, EST superlative degree. Red, redder, reddest. So here it becomes REDDER. You add another D, reddest. So double D and EST. So in all this, they end in consonants. The word fat, T, G, D, they are consonants, and when they are consonants here, when you want to change it into comparative, you use the last word double times. So fat, you have only one single T, but you have to use double T here, and then as usual you add ER. In the word big, so you have to add, to make it a comparative, double B. So here BIGG, and with that you add ER to make it comparative, BIGG, and you add EST, make it superlative. So sad, sadder, saddest. You have double D here, sadder, and you add ER for the comparative, and double D and EST for superlative. So red, you have double D and ER for the comparative, double D and EST for the superlative. Number 1, when the positive ends in E only, R and ST are added. When the positive words end in E, suppose you have the word noble. So the word noble ends in E. You add simply R in the comparative, that is nobler, and ST in the superlative, so noblest. So noble is a word which ends in E. So for the comparative you are adding only R, and for the superlative you are adding only ST. Number 2, when the positive ends in Y with the consonants before it, Y is changed into I before ER and EST. So now we have already seen that example, heavy, heavier, heaviest. So Y is changed into I before ER and EST. Number 3, when the positive is a word of one syllable and ends in a single consonant such as big with a short vowel, before it the consonant is double and ER and EST is added, that is sad, sadder, saddest, big, bigger, biggest. We have already seen example for all these three rules.